The crowd fell silent. A young female wrestler stood
You're
in the center of the
finished!
arena with
I am
complete
not your enemy.
confidence. She looked at the quiet martial arts master
You and
standing
me,
across
right
from her
now.
and smiled.
Very well.
"I'll finish this in one move," she said. People laughed. Some cheered for her. Others whispered that the old master would never survive against someone so strong. But the master didn't move. He didn't argue. He didn't smile. He simply looked into her eyes and said, "Then prove it." No one knew that the next few minutes would change not only the wrestler's life, but everyone watching. This is not the story of a fight. It is the story of pride, patience, and the lesson that true strength is often invisible. Her name was Maya. At only 26 years old, she had become the most feared wrestler in the country. She was taller than most women, stronger than many men. Every tournament ended the same way. Her opponents walked into the ring full of confidence. A few minutes later, they walked out defeated. Some couldn't even stand. Reporters followed her everywhere. Fans called her the Iron Storm. She loved the attention. Every interview sounded the same. "There is nobody left to challenge me. I've already beaten the best. I was born to dominate." Her coach often warned her, "Confidence wins matches, but arrogance loses lives." Maya laughed every time. She believed only one thing: power was everything. If you were stronger, you won. Simple. One afternoon, while scrolling through videos online, she found clips of an elderly martial arts teacher. His students praised him like a legend. People said his movements were impossible to understand. Some claimed he could defeat stronger opponents without using much force. Maya laughed. "This is fake. No old man can stop me." The comments only made her more curious. Someone wrote, "He follows the philosophy of the dragon." Another replied, "Strength cannot defeat wisdom." She slammed her phone onto the table. "I'll prove them wrong." The school was hidden between old trees on the edge of the city. There were no giant signs, no trophies in the windows, no advertisements, only silence. Students trained without shouting, without showing off. Every movement looked smooth, peaceful, controlled. Maya walked inside wearing her championship belt across her shoulder. Everyone stopped to look. She expected applause. Instead, no one said a word. An elderly man slowly swept the training floor with a simple broom. His clothes were plain. His hands looked ordinary. He didn't even look up. Maya frowned. "I'm here to challenge your master." The old man continued sweeping. "I know." She crossed her arms. "So where is he?" He leaned the broom against the wall. "I am." She burst into laughter. You can barely hold a broom." The students remained silent. The old man smiled gently. "The broom is lighter than anger." His answer confused her. She stepped closer. "I've defeated champions. I've broken records. I'll defeat you in one move." The old man nodded. "Perhaps." His calm voice made her even angrier. "Tomorrow." She pointed toward the courtyard. "You and me. No excuses." He simply bowed. "I'll be here." The next morning, the courtyard was filled with people. Some were students. Some were visitors who had heard about the challenge. Word had spread across the city. A famous wrestler was about to fight an old martial arts master. Everyone expected an exciting battle. Some expected a quick victory. Others were simply curious. Maya walked into the courtyard wearing her training gear. She looked stronger than ever. Every step she took showed confidence. Every muscle in her body was ready for combat. The old master arrived a few moments later. He wore the same simple black clothes. No gloves. No armor. No shoes. just calm eyes and a peaceful smile. Maya laughed. That's what you're wearing. The master nodded. My clothes are enough. She shook her head. You're either very brave or very foolish. The old master simply folded his hands behind his back. The difference is often hard to see. His answer irritated Maya once again. She wanted anger. She wanted fear. Instead, she saw only peace. That made her even more determined. One of the students stepped forward. The rules are simple. No weapons. No strikes meant to seriously injure. The challenge ends when one person can no longer continue. Maya cracked her neck. I won't need long. The master quietly replied. Neither will I. The crowd gasped. Was that confidence? Or was it wisdom? No one knew. The signal was given. The match had begun. Maya exploded forward. She moved with incredible speed. Her goal was simple. Grab him, lift him, throw him to the ground. That strategy had defeated every opponent before. She reached for his shoulders. But suddenly, he wasn't there. She grabbed nothing but air. The crowd murmured in surprise. The master had taken only one small step. Not backward, not sideways, just enough. Maya spun around. He was standing behind her, exactly where she had been a second earlier. Still calm, still smiling. You missed. The words sounded gentle, but they felt like an insult. Her face turned red. No one makes me miss. She attacked again, this time faster. Her hands shot forward like lightning. Again, nothing. The master flowed around her movement like water flowing around a rock. He didn't block. He didn't fight. He simply wasn't where she expected him to be. The crowd had become completely silent. Some students smiled. Others watched carefully. Every movement was teaching them something. Maya's breathing grew heavier. This made no sense. She was stronger. She was younger. She was faster than almost anyone. So why couldn't she touch him? The master spoke softly. Strength is useful, but only if it knows where to go. She ignored him. Her pride was now controlling her. She rushed in again. This time she used every trick she knew. Fake left. Step right. Grab low. Attack high. It had always worked before. But the master read every movement before it happened. It was almost as if he could see the future. After another failed attempt, Maya stepped back. Sweat rolled down her forehead. She had been fighting for only a few minutes. Yet she already felt exhausted. The master looked exactly the same. Relaxed. Steady. His breathing hadn't even changed. One little boy watching from the edge whispered, Is he magic? The master smiled without turning around. No, only patient. Those words echoed through the courtyard. Maya hated hearing them. She believed patience was for weak people. Champions attacked. Champions finished fights. Champions never waited. She charged one final time. With a loud shout, she leaped into the air. Her entire body became one powerful attack. The crowd expected the fight to end. But the master made one tiny movement. He turned his body just a few inches. As Maya passed him, he gently touched her wrist. He didn't push. He didn't pull. He simply redirected her own momentum. Maya lost her balance instantly. She stumbled forward. Then, crash, she landed hard on the ground. Dust rose into the air. The courtyard became completely silent. For the first time in years, the undefeated champion had fallen. Maya quickly stood up. She looked around. Nobody was laughing. Nobody was celebrating. The students simply watched. The master walked toward her slowly. He offered his hand. She stared at it. You knocked me down. The master shook his head. No, you knocked yourself down. She frowned. What does that even mean? He looked into her eyes. I only helped your own force find a different direction. She couldn't understand. She had spent her entire life believing that power defeated power. Yet this old man had barely touched her. Still, she had fallen. The master returned to his original position. We can stop here. Maya immediately shouted. No, I am not finished. He nodded. I know, but you're no longer fighting me. She looked confused. What are you talking about? The master pointed toward her chest. You're fighting your pride. Those words hit harder than any punch. For a moment, she couldn't answer. The crowd remained silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Maya realized something terrifying. She had spent the entire match trying to defeat the master, but she had never once tried to understand him. As she clenched her fists again, one question echoed through her mind. If strength wasn't the answer, then what was? The courtyard remained silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Maya stood frozen. The master's words echoed inside her mind. You're fighting your pride. She had never heard anyone speak to her like that. Every coach had praised her strength. Every reporter had admired her victories. Every fan had called her unbeatable. Yet this old man had looked beyond her muscles. He had seen something she had hidden even from herself. Her fear, not the fear of losing, the fear of being ordinary. Maya slowly lowered her fists. For the first time that morning, she wasn't angry. She was curious. She looked at the master and asked, How did you know where I would move? The old man smiled. I didn't. She frowned. But you avoided every attack. He nodded. Because I watched you. She looked confused. I watched your shoulders. I watched your breathing. I watched your eyes. Your body told me every move before you made it. Maya looked down. She had never realized that fighting was more than strength. The master walked toward a small stream beside the courtyard. He pointed to the flowing water. What do you see? She answered quickly. Water. He smiled. Look again. She watched the stream carefully. It flowed around every rock. It never argued. It never stopped. Yet after enough time, even the hardest stone became smooth. The master spoke softly. Water never fights the rock. It simply keeps moving. And in the end, it wins. The students listened carefully. Every word felt like a lesson. The master picked up a dry leaf. He placed it gently on the water. The leaf floated away without effort. You cannot force life. You must learn to move with it. Maya remained silent. These ideas were completely different from everything she had learned. Back at the wrestling academy, every lesson was about domination, about overpowering the opponent, about never backing down. Here, the lesson was almost the opposite. The master turned toward her. Would you like to understand? She hesitated, then nodded. Yes. The old man smiled. Then leave your championship belt by the gate. She looked shocked. My belt, it represents years of work. It represents who I am. The master shook his head gently. No, it represents who you think you are. The courtyard became quiet again. Maya stared at the golden belt resting on her shoulder. It had become part of her identity. Without it, who was she? For several long seconds, she couldn't move. Finally, she unclipped the belt. Slowly, she carried it to the wooden gate. She placed it on the ground. As she walked back, She felt strangely lighter. The master nodded with approval. Good. Now we begin. The students formed a large circle. No one spoke. The lesson had started. The master stood in the center. I will not teach you how to win. I will teach you how not to lose yourself. Maya listened carefully. He asked her to throw a simple punch. She did. He gently redirected it. Again, again, again. Every attack missed. Not because she was weak, but because she was predictable. The master explained, power follows habit. Wisdom follows awareness. Hour after hour. The lesson continued. No punches landed. No one was knocked down. Yet Maya felt more exhausted than after any championship fight. Her muscles were tired. But more importantly, her mind was changing. As the sun began to set, the master finally stopped. He handed her a wooden cup filled with tea. She accepted it. They sat beneath an old tree. Neither of them spoke for several minutes. Finally, Maya broke the silence. Were you always this calm? The master laughed quietly. No, I was once just like you. Her eyes widened. You? He nodded. I believed speed was everything. I believed victory proved my worth. I wanted everyone to know my name. What changed? The master looked toward the mountains. I lost. She blinked. You lost. He smiled. The greatest lesson in my life came from defeat. It taught me something victory never could. Maya leaned forward. What? He looked into her eyes. Humility. Without humility, skill becomes arrogance. Without humility, strength becomes weakness. Without humility, success becomes a prison. Maya felt those words strike deep inside her heart. She remembered every opponent she had mocked, every interview where she had boasted, every fan she had ignored. For the first time, she wasn't proud of those memories. She was ashamed. The sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains. The students lit small lanterns around the courtyard. A peaceful glow filled the school. The master stood once more. Our final lesson begins now. He handed Maya a simple broom. She looked confused. I came here to learn martial arts. He smiled. So did every student who ever entered this place. She frowned. What does sweeping have to do with fighting? The master began sweeping beside her. When the floor is dirty, you clean it. When the mind is dirty, you must clean that too. She looked down at the broom in her hands. At first, she felt insulted. A champion, sweeping leaves. But then, she remembered the stream. The water never complained. It simply flowed. Quietly, she began sweeping. No cameras. No applause. No trophies. Only silence. Only the sound of leaves moving across stone. For the first time in many years, Maya felt peace. But she didn't realize. The greatest test was still waiting for her. And unlike the first challenge, this one couldn't be won with strength. Or even skill. It would require something far more difficult. The courage to change. To be continued in Part 4, the final test and the true meaning of strength. The next morning, Maya woke before sunrise. For the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about winning. She wasn't thinking about trophies. She wasn't thinking about proving anyone wrong. She was thinking about one question. Who am I without my pride? As she stepped outside, she found the master already awake. He was sitting quietly beneath the same old tree. His eyes were closed. The morning breeze moved gently through the leaves. Birds sang in the distance. The world felt peaceful. The master slowly opened his eyes. You slept well. Maya nodded. I've been thinking. The master smiled. Good. A quiet mind learns faster than a noisy one. She sat beside him. I still don't understand. If you never use your strength, how do you protect yourself? The master looked toward the rising sun. I never said strength was useless. I said it should serve wisdom, not the other way around. His words settled into her mind. For years, strength had been her master. Now she began to understand. Strength should be her servant, not her ruler. The master stood up. Today is your final lesson. Maya looked around. There isn't another fight. He smiled. There is, but not the one you expect. Before she could ask another question, a young student came running into the courtyard. He looked frightened. Master, there is trouble in the village. The master and Maya followed him without hesitation. A crowd had gathered near the village square. Two brothers were shouting at each other. Their faces were filled with anger. Neighbors tried to separate them. Nothing worked. One brother picked up a wooden stick. The other clenched his fists. The situation was about to explode. Maya instinctively stepped forward. I'll stop them. The master gently held out his hand. Watch. He walked calmly between the brothers. Neither man noticed him at first. They continued yelling. The master didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten them. He simply stood there. Silently, slowly, the shouting faded. The brothers looked at him. His calm presence seemed stronger than their anger. He spoke only one sentence. If one of you wins today, what will your mother lose? The question hung in the air. Both brothers looked at each other. Their anger slowly disappeared. The wooden stick fell to the ground. One brother lowered his head. The other wiped tears from his eyes. Without another word, they embraced. The crowd released a deep breath. The fight was over, not because someone had been defeated, but because someone had remembered what truly mattered. Maya stared in disbelief. The master hadn't thrown a single punch, yet he had stopped a battle before it even began. As they walked back to the school, Maya finally understood. The greatest victory, she whispered, is the one that never becomes a fight. The master smiled. Now you're beginning to see. Back at the school, he led her to the wooden gate. Her championship belt was still there, untouched, covered with a few fallen leaves. He picked it up, then handed it to her. This belongs to you. She looked at the belt for a long moment. Only yesterday, it had been the center of her identity. Now, it was simply a reminder of how far she had come. She accepted it with both hands. Not proudly, but gratefully. The students gathered around them. One asked, Master, did Maya pass the final test? The old man looked at her. I cannot answer that. Everyone looked confused. He continued, only she can decide whether she has changed. Maya stepped forward. She looked at every student. Then at the master. I came here to prove I was the strongest. She smiled gently. I leave knowing that strength alone means very little. I thought muscles made a champion. But now I know. Character does. The students bowed. So did Maya. For the first time in her life, she bowed not because someone demanded it, but because she truly respected another person. The master returned the bow. Never stop learning. She nodded. I won't. Months passed. Maya returned to competition. People immediately noticed something different. She still won many matches, but she never celebrated by humiliating her opponents. She helped defeated athletes stand up. She thanked every referee. She respected every competitor. Reporters asked her the same question over and over. What changed you? She always smiled before answering. I finally met someone I couldn't defeat. And instead of losing, I learned. Her words spread across the country. Young athletes began copying her attitude. Coaches shared her story. Children learned that true champions respected others. Years later, Maya opened her own training school. There were no giant posters of victories. No walls covered in trophies. Instead, one simple sentence was written above the entrance. Master yourself before trying to master anyone else. Every new student asked where the quote came from. She simply smiled, then handed them a broom. Some laughed. Some looked confused. But eventually, every student understood. Because every journey begins with humility. Not glory. Not applause. Not victory. Humility. As for the old master, he continued teaching quietly. He never became famous. He never appeared on television. He never wanted the world to know his name. He only wanted his students to become better people. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all. Because true legends are not remembered for how many battles they win. They are remembered for how many lives they change. The strongest person in the room is not always the loudest. Not always the fastest. Not always the most powerful. Sometimes, the strongest person is the one who can remain calm while everyone else loses control. The one who chooses wisdom over anger, compassion over pride, peace over conflict. That is the lesson of the dragon. Not to seek fights, not to prove superiority, but to become the kind of person who no longer needs to prove anything. And perhaps, that is the greatest victory anyone can ever achieve.